When I started my career in PR about 15 years ago, I used to send out press releases by fax. It would take me an entire day to send out about 50 press releases, literally typing in number by number. But that was okay because the journalists had a deadline of 3 or 4 days ahead of me. My follow-up used to be by sending a message to the journalist's beeper. For example, in this case, I would have sent them a message saying, Yona Cymerman will be speaking at the MC Forum. For more information, contact, and my phone number. The journalists who were interested in hearing more would call me. Needless to say, that doesn't happen anymore. Not only has technology and the platform that we use to reach journalists changed, the terminology has changed. Back then, we barely had email. We barely had websites. We definitely didn't have SEO, social media, Facebook, Twitter. And if someone had told me that they had gone viral, I would have told them to see a doctor. So, what do we do today and how do we reach the journalists? First of all, the fact that print publications are in decline is no news. Everyday newspapers have gone down about 30% in the past few years, although they are still being printed in the millions. Magazines, anything from Time magazine to Mobile World Today, the online version is 100 times more popular than the print version, and very few people actually have paid registration to these newspapers to read them anymore. As this dinosaur says, today most of us maybe take our mobile phones, our smartphones with us to that special place and not the newspapers. So what do? You still have to reach the journalists, you still have to reach your clients. What tools do you have at your disposal? And how does all of this social media impact the role of PR today? To simplify it, it comes down to 3 things. First of all, there's a lot more chatter out there. Chatter being noise. A lot more people are talking about a lot more things. Everyone's a specialist, everyone's a guru, everyone knows and has an opinion and has something to say. So the competition is much more fierce just in terms of the quantity of information that you're competing against. Second of all, the lifespan of the information. Like I said, when you used to send a press release out by fax, and the journalist 3 days later would print it in the newspaper, and that newspaper was a weekly, you knew that that information was in the hand of your client for a whole week. Today, it's a matter of seconds. You know, even if you go to a link Twitter, never mind Twitter, seconds, nanoseconds. That's the face of technology, and that's the lifespan of the information that you are now disseminating to your audience. Audience fragmentation. People are interested in a lot more things today. Where once it was easy to say, I'm targeting women between the ages of 25 and 40 who live in North America, who are college educated, today the audience that you're reaching is fragmented a lot more, and it's much harder to define who you're trying to reach, which journalists are the ones who are going to reach your target audience accurately. So all of these things are things that we need to take into consideration when we do PR today. There's a new term that's now being coined called a newsosaur, which, as you can see, is the dinosaur of news. So my job here today is to make sure you guys do not become newsosaurs, because we all know what happened to the dinosaurs. Okay, before I continue, how many people here either write press releases or use a PR agency who's writing press releases for them? Okay, a vast majority of you. Out of the people who raised their hands, how many of you are integrating social media and SEO into these press releases? Okay, about half the people who raised their hands originally. Okay, pretty good. So is the press release in the traditional format that we know, is it dead? Given what we just said about the pace and the lifespan and the amount of chatter. So first of all, it depends on the industry. Some industries, like mobile, telecom, yeah, print publications, I don't know if they're dead completely, but they're definitely on their way. Other industries, specifically financial industries, banking, education, are much slower to adopt SEO, social media, And therefore, the press release is not exactly dead. It's still a tool that you need to use. However, you need to make sure that it's updated according with other modern tools. So the first thing you need to consider is your industry. There's going to be a lot of talk here about social media and the pace of adoption. And without a doubt, all the industries are going that way. But before you throw out the traditional press release and before you fire your PR agency, you need to consider whether or not your industry is one who's at the forefront of technology, or if you've still got some time and you need to learn how to integrate the social media into your PR work. What else? Blogs. Anyone, regardless of the industry, whether it's a traditional industry or a modern industry, needs to integrate blogs into your media relations, into your media list. Those of you who have your own media list, great. Those of you who work with agencies, you need to make sure that the media list that the agency is working with includes trade journalists, financial journalists, consumer journalists, analysts, and bloggers. Don't let your PR agency tell you that you have to handle the bloggers on your own. It doesn't work that way anymore. Bloggers are integrated into a media list the same way that the traditional journalists are integrated. Fine, if you're still writing a standard press release, and we all know there's a sort of template for a press release, within that traditional text, you can add SEO. Here it's redundant SEO optimization, the terminology that you use. Add links can still be integrated into a traditional press release so that you incorporate social media without deviating from what Michal talked about, your comfort zone of the traditional press release. Brian Solis, who is one of the leading opinion leaders and who basically helped formulate social media into the entity that it is today, developed what's called a social media press release. I'm not going to go through it here just because I don't have time. You can Google it. It's a template very similar to a traditional template, but it's geared to journalists, to bloggers and journalists who are social media savvy. Basically, instead of a whole paragraph, you write in bullet points. You incorporate tags, you incorporate pictures, you incorporate links. All the information that you would have in a traditional press release is there, but it's in a different format. It just makes your life much simpler. And again, if you're doing the work yourself, no problem. Find the social media press release template and use it. If you're working with an agency, ask them if they're using it. All the wire distribution service tools. Those of you who don't have agencies and are using PR Newswire or Business Wire or MarketWire, make sure to speak to the representatives because they all now offer social media tools. Whether it's how they distribute the press releases, whether it's tags, whether it's room for videos, pictures, links, etc. Make sure to take advantage of those tools, given the fact that you're still working with a traditional press release. And finally, social media distribution. Once you've sent out your press release to the journalists, that's not enough. Make sure you've got it up on Twitter. Make sure you're sending it out on your LinkedIn post. Other people here will talk more about social media tools of distribution, but make sure you're taking advantage of all of those to enhance your media relations work. Finally, don't forget the basics. Yes, the technology has changed. The pace is tremendous. Many people, including traditional PR experts and traditional PR agencies, are intimidated by social media. I was talking here with someone earlier who was telling me that they're serviced by their PR agency by a senior account executive, a junior account executive, and an intern. And I said to them, well, what about the social media aspect of it? A lot of the bigger agencies today have opened a social media department. So instead of being serviced by 3 people in a hierarchy, you're being serviced by one person, an account executive from the traditional aspect, co-joined together with someone from the social media division. Those are the larger, more established PR agencies, and find out whether or not you're being serviced in the same way. So the technologies have changed, the platforms that we're using for distribution have changed. The pace is, as I said, tremendous, and the formality. Formality is important, whereas once upon a time, I sent a message to a beeper and the journalist would call me and I would have to be very formal and respect their deadline. Today it's a lot more casual. You shoot off the press release, you can send them an email, you can give them a call, still respecting their time, still respecting what they do, but you can be a lot more casual in terms of your interaction with the journalist. Your message still needs to resonate. You still need to be targeting the right person with the right message. You need to be sharp, you need to be clear, you need to be concise, and you need to repeat your message so that it gets across in the right way. It still needs to be interesting and relevant. You need to be targeting the right journalist or blogger for your audience. Integrate, don't eliminate. This is perhaps my main point. At this point, we're not eliminating traditional PR tools, but we are integrating social media and SEO aspects into those traditional tools. Whether it's within the body of your press release, whether it's how you distribute your press release. And by the way, just because of lack of time, I'm not talking about all the other aspects of PR. I'm focusing only on the press release, so you'll forgive me for that. Finally, believe it or not, it is still about the relationship, but the relationship is managed differently. Whereas once upon a time, you would have long conversations with the journalist and interviews. Now, bloggers still want that personal touch. They still want to get to know you, the bloggers and the journalists, but it's quicker. It's faster. Hey, how you doing? Good, what's up? What you got to tell me? That's how it works once you've developed your relationship, but that relationship is still very important. Don't forget that with all the social media, all the chatter, all the short lifespan, all the noise that's going on, all the news and information and the pace, you're still working with people. And those people still want to interact a little bit. Finally, watch this space. The PR industry is changing. It's trying to catch up. It's still trying to figure out itself. It's working. As I said, the social media press release template is something that's new. It's constantly evolving. Stay on top of things. Don't let your agency tell you that everything's okay. Watch what they're doing. Read up on what's happening in the PR industry. The PR industry is still trying to figure itself out. So things are constantly changing, and don't think that because you've put your press release out on Twitter, that's it. Because in 6 months from now, there's going to be a new tool. Or in 6 months from now, there's going to be a new way of doing things within the PR world. Understand that the PR industry itself is trying to redefine itself, but you need to be on top of the tools in order to make sure that your message gets out and resonates with your target audience. That's pretty much it, short and to the point. As the image shows, your written information, your press releases, along with your other broadcast media, as well as the relationships and the human interaction, will bring you guys to success with the traditional PR tools. Good luck. Thank you very much.